Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. What a great turnout. I'm Nikki Clay, and along with my husband, Ben Clay, we are the honorary voluntary co-chairs of the 2015 celebration.
We're just two members of a dedicated board of directors, some of whom are here today. Let me introduce them to you. Nancy Chase down in front here, Frank Hertassen, Joe Terzi, Mick Hager sitting out here in the back, and Andy Fickhorn right here. And so let's give them a big hand and say thank you very much. Without that board, we couldn't be doing this, let me tell you. I'd also like to thank and recognize there's some 80 volunteers that are serving on our various different committees, everything from marketing to ticketing to you name it. Very, very important, and a big hand to them as well.
And our most exciting introduction today is our new CEO, Julie Dubeck, who's going to lead us to the most exciting, the most innovative, the most fun 2015 celebration. Julie, stand up.
So ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to update you on our plans for the celebration and to again focus our attention on San Diego and Balboa Park in the year 2015. And we're going to recreate that audacious spirit that the original founders of the 1915 exposition had. You're going to hear this afternoon from our mayor, Bob Filner, who has given us incredible support and whose commitment to this event is unwavering. And I'm going to add parenthetically, doesn't the Plaza of Panama look great the way it's going? Yeah. Mayor, kudos. And you're going to hear from Autonomy's Adam Burke and Phil Green, the producers of our premier programming. Nikki?
Ben and I would like to acknowledge the support and enthusiasm of so many San Diegans. They include people from the tourism industry, from our colleges and universities, from our military, and from across our community, and from every neighborhood. It seems that all San Diegans have a special place in their heart for the Balboa Park, and they have a special story, a fond memory. In fact, Ben's parents were married in the chapel right over here by the Museum of Man, and Ben was one of those many kids that climbed that fig tree out by the Nat.
Good climb, too. Our event is still a year and a half away, but people have been imagining its potential for a long time. We're going to run a video that sets the stage for what we're trying to do. I hope you enjoy it, and to the video man, take it away.
What if magic moments can be more than memories? What if a legacy becomes a launching pad to propel ideas and produce change, to innovate, to accelerate, to engage and excite? It's happened before, right here. It's about to happen again. In the heart of our city, San Diego's Balboa Park Centennial begins now.
You know, I'm excited because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We're going to celebrate 100 years, but we're going to look ahead 100 years.
Balboa Park, the perfect place and time.
It's a vibrant universe in and of itself, and it's things that draw people from all over all the time.
It really will bring everything special about San Diego together.
San Diego's Balboa Park Centennial, a world-class celebration centered in the heart of our city. 365 days of events, exhibitions, attractions, and amazing innovations as we collectively imagine our city's next century with the same can-do community spirit that launched our last one.
San Diego is interesting. We're big enough to matter, to have this world-class exposition, but we're small enough where everybody has a chance to participate and everybody has a chance to be effective. So we're asking everybody to be involved.
San Diego, 1915. A city of 40,000 dares to dream big, and the world responds. 4 million people visit the Panama, California International Exposition. They feel the magic and sense the momentum. A small city soon becomes an international powerhouse. Memorable moments, major accomplishments. San Diego has arrived. In business, technology, science, the arts and entertainment. Culturally, historically, emphatically, 100 years later, San Diegans continue to lead from the edge.
One of the aspects that I find most exciting is the focus that it has on innovation.
San Diego is open-minded to new ideas. It's a fresh, new community. Innovation thrives in San Diego.
On New Year's Eve 2014, we'll welcome the world to an inclusive celebration that underscores our region's diversity, prosperity, and unlimited potential.
It's going to be a tremendous opportunity for everybody in the San Diego region to enjoy this park and what it means and all the activities and festivities. It's also a time for people from around the world to come in and actually see what San Diego's about.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to honor our past by envisioning our future. Together, we can create memories that will resonate for the next 100 years.
We want the world spotlight on San Diego once again. It was a spotlight 100 years ago. We are the city of the 21st century, and we're going to project that light again in the future.
Our celebration is not going to end in 2015. That's just the beginning.
What if magic moments can be more than memories? They can be. They will be, because today is the first day of 2015.
The mayor of San Diego, Bob Milner.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. You sense the excitement in all our voices. And we want everybody to be excited when they leave here, when they hear what's going on, when the media presents this to San Diego. I think all of us are going to really climb on board and be excited about this event. We're going to get excited about preparing for it. We're going to get excited while it's going on. And we're going to leave a legacy that's going to be even more exciting. So thank you all for being here to hear this. You know, in 1915, and there's no truth to rumor that I was there welcoming people, we did put on an international exposition that drew millions of people here to our city and gave rise to what we consider the modern San Diego. And in 2015, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to bring millions of people here and establish San Diego's reputations as one of the great cities of the world. We're going to unify our region with this event, inspire our young people, show off what makes San Diego such a great city, and provide unique experiences that you're not going to find anywhere else. It's going to be a big party in 2015, but it's going to be more than a party. It's going to celebrate who we are as a city, and we're going to invite the world. And everyone will want to be here. It'll define Balboa Park as one of the great urban parks in America, and it'll leave out-of-towners disappointed that they live anywhere else. So they're going to see a city that I think is going to be vibrant, exciting, a great place to do business. They're going to see a city that is family-friendly, with an emphasis on education and recreation opportunities. They're going to see diversity, with a rich heritage and culture that embraces everyone. They're going to see a leader in important industries like health and communications and alternative energy and action sports. They're going to see how we work closely and cooperatively with the military, and how our art world, our artists, our art and culture, with the theaters and artists that are recognized around the world, make us who we are. And they're going to see a border city that celebrates an incredible binational relationship. I've asked everybody to think big. When I first saw some of the stuff, I thought, hey, you're not thinking big enough here. Let's not think of a few million. Let's think of tens of millions of dollars and people. Let's not think of a few exhibitions and a few people coming. Let's think of world-class people coming to see San Diego and perform for us. You're going to see an incredible presentation by the creative producers that we brought in, known collectively as Autonomy. And I guess we'll leave you collectively. Okay, so but they are Adam Burke and Phil Green, and they're going to get you as excited and as stoked as I am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Filner. Thank you also to Ben and Nikki from the board of Balboa Park Celebration Inc. and the rest of the board members who are here. Congratulations, Julie, the new CEO. We've already really enjoyed starting to work with you, and thanks a lot to everyone who's here today to hear what we have planned for 2015. So, obviously, the starting point when you're going to talk about a celebration is what you're celebrating and why it matters. Okay, so when Phil and I were first had the privilege of coming into this project, the first thing that we looked at was what happened in 1915. And we thought to ourselves, well, what's important about this moment? Why do we want to celebrate it? And, you know, it was an expo that was never meant to happen. The federal funding went to San Francisco. This was a small town, sort of down the bottom southwest of the United States, maybe less than 40,000 people at the time. And yet this small group of citizens got together and said, we're going to put this city on the map. And they then turned that small group with a lot of ambition and a lot of ideas into a large group. And at the end of the day, the entire city of San Diego, as small as it was at that time, got behind an idea and a concept of showing off the very best that it had. The end result was quite an extraordinary event. I mean, it really was quite amazing when you look at the history of it. And at the end of the day, it put San Diego on the map. So we're looking at that little piece of history and saying, okay, that was pretty inspirational. It's 100 years later. What are we going to be able to do? And so inspired by what we saw in 1915 and the way the leaders of the community got together, we decided to take an approach to our programming that started very much with looking at local partnerships. And this is a list of just some of the groups that we've already started working with. And the concept that we're instilling into this celebration, and the concept that we feel excited and confident about, is that the city of San Diego has real ownership of this moment. That the city of San Diego doesn't just bring in all of the entertainment, and of course, entertainment and elements will be brought in, but that it comes from within. And the city gets together and shows the best that it has and lifts itself up. Because that's exactly what happened in 1915. And if this city can do that again in 2015, it's going to be another remarkable moment. And it could usher in a new era of success and focus on the city of San Diego. So we're working with these types of local programming partners, and we're going to give you a little bit of detail as to how we're going to do it. But as many of you already know, we're talking about a year of programming, which is an extremely ambitious celebration. Typically, celebrations last for a week or a day or a month or here, there, and everywhere, but we're going to do an entire year. So that requires some serious organisation. So now we're going to start to run you through the structure that has been put together to achieve that.
Yeah, and as Adam was saying, when we first got here, there were already, you know, hundreds of pages of ideas that had been developed for this Centennial, and many of you had been involved in developing some of those ideas. And so there were a lot of great things to work with, a lot of ideas about video mapping and projections and other elements, but what we felt it was lacking was sort of a framework in which everything would fit together in a very simple way, and all of the programming partners that Adam mentioned, who we've already started to talk to, how can they get involved? We had to give them a very clear sense of how everybody can participate in the moment so that San Diego can have that sense of ownership that Adam described. So we divided into three areas, the overall program. The first is the spectaculars. And to the mayor's point in the video, he talked about drawing the world's attention to San Diego. So that's really what the spectaculars are designed for. They're huge events, and we'll go through those shortly. The second area is park programming, and obviously in 1915 the park was host to the bulk of the expo, and so obviously the bulk of the programming this year in 2015 has to be on the park as well. The third area is citywide programming, and that's the last area, and the sense there is that we wanted to bring the park to the streets of San Diego and the best to the streets of San Diego. So if you go to the next slide. So kicking off with the spectaculars, as I said, these are really the big showy elements that hundreds of thousands of people can participate in and watch. And these are the ones that draw the eyes of the world to San Diego. They're the big media-based events. So we're kicking off the spectaculars in 2015 with a big water show. The idea is that the water show will have several different elements. It'll have a light show, it'll have aerialists, it will have acrobats. But the main driving reason behind having the water show is we felt there really needed to be something to honor the Navy, to honor the military in San Diego, and to also honor the role that the port played. As most of you know, the port was actually the inspiration for having the 1915 Expo in the first place. So we really felt that having a water show was one of the key things for the spectaculars. The second one, the mayor alluded to this in his speech, but is the idea of doing something on the border. And you know, we had actually done the Mexican bicentennial and you know, have a lot of history working in Mexico. And when we thought about doing one of the big spectaculars, we felt like we really needed to do something that would honor sort of the relationship between the US and Mexico, between San Diego and Tijuana, and then also this idea that San Diego is sort of the gateway to Latin America. So we started thinking about a border concept, and what we decided to do is, many of you may be familiar with this location. It's down at Friendship Park, and on the other side is a bull ring. We're talking about doing a binational, made-for-television border concert, and it will feature some of the top iconic talent from both Mexico and also the top talent from the US. And the idea is that this is the kind of thing that can lead on a network broadcast and also be broadcast on Univision here in the US, on Televisa in Mexico, and then broadcast all throughout Latin America. So that's the second one. The third one, we were so inspired by 1915 and the history of it and sort of the energy of it. And we started talking about what it would be like and to have gone back in time and to have met with everybody. And so we also felt that there needed to be one of the spectaculars had to be here at Balboa Park. It had to go back to its home. So we decided that for the third spectacular, we would do a 1915 gala weekend. And the idea is that the entire park will come to life in the way that it was in 1915. So the video mapping and projections that I referenced earlier, they'll sort of restore the original facades on the buildings so people will feel like they're back in that environment. The other elements of this are also sort of the period costumes, the period dance and music, and we were even joking about having 1915 prices for the so that's the third spectacular. The fourth one, the one that we are most excited about, is this one, and this one is going to remain a surprise because we have to keep a few things off the record until later. We have 18 months to go. So.
Yeah, so Phil's basically shown you three stages that we're going to present spectacular events on in 2015. But obviously the heart and soul of this celebration is Balboa Park. And so it's pretty important to focus here and have a strong, robust program of programming in Balboa Park. So what we've done is we've divided the park programming into four main areas. Two zones, one which we're calling Celebration Plaza and the other Centennial Forum. And then we're also, throughout the park, going to have a broad program of entertainment and also introduce a greater element of play into this beautiful public facility. Starting off with Celebration Plaza. And really what it is, it's a reinvention of Plaza de Panama to host a rotating series of international events. One of the, when we look back to the history of San Diego, 1915, and the other expos and events that have happened here, there's a strong connection to the international community. When you think back to when they opened the Panama Canal in 1915, blazoned in fireworks on the Spreckles Pavilion after the president had pushed the button and the 1915 Expo had opened, were the words, "The land divided, the world united, San Diego, the first port of call." So this is to honor the international side of the park and also the very important international presence of this city. So we started thinking to ourselves, well, what's the best way to enjoy other countries? We can't go to them, and we can't squeeze them all into Plaza de Panama or into the park. There's just not enough space. So we started thinking the best time to go to a country is on their special day, On that day when the country has their best outfits, their best music, their best dance, their best food, their best traditions, and they put it all on display for you. So we thought to ourselves, well, look, why don't we make Plaza de Panama the place where you can experience, say, 20 plus of these amazing international celebrations in an entire year. And so we've already started working on several of these celebrations, and there's a big calendar to fill out and a lot of work to do. But for example, the one in the top left is the Obon Festival, which is this beautiful Japanese festival. We've started working with the Japanese Friendship Garden here in Balboa Park on a pilot program to illustrate how amazing these celebrations can be. And you'll be able to experience an Obon Festival where it's not only going to be beautiful and enjoyable to watch, to hear and eat the food, but also we think really moving. And so it also provides a wonderful, opportunity for us to invite dignitaries from other countries and really turn Balboa Park into an international destination for San Diego and many visitors who will come to see these types of celebrations. In addition to the international side of Balboa Park in the city of San Diego, one of the things that happened in 1915 was that these magnificent buildings were built, these temporary buildings that we still stand in today, were built in 1915. And these buildings at the time were filled with various exhibits of different types. And it's a really interesting study in legacy, what happened here in Balboa Park, because now what you see in these buildings is not the intended use in 1915, but these really amazing institutions and museums that exist in Balboa Park today. And we're standing here in one of them, in the Globe Theatre. And by the way, thank you very much to Barry and Michael, our hosts today. But these amazing theatres were created. So we thought to ourselves, in order to honour that, why don't we create a one-year forum here within Balboa Park that will allow these institutions, and not just within the park, but also throughout San Diego, to present themselves with fascinating presentations. So I think a lot of people know about conferences like TED, PopTech, Pachachka, Innovate. These thought forums are really the future of a lot of what's happening inside museums, is taking it out, letting these presentations happen, and letting it get videoed and spread. The ideas can start to spread all around the world. So we've already started working with a range of different programming partners here in San Diego, museums, universities, innovation businesses. And we're creating a year-long series of summits, speaker events, networking events, and workshops that will bring the best of the minds of San Diego into this stage, but also for them to invite their colleagues who are the best minds in the world in their various fields to examine these issues. And another really interesting element of this is that when you look at Balboa Park, it has institutions with a variety of specialties. You're going to have everything from art to science to recreation. And so we're really interested in pushing or working with all of our partners to look at a transdisciplinary, or as Mayor Filner has pointed out, parallax view of topics, so that you can look at topics from a different angle. The artist's approach to an engineering problem, or an engineering approach to an art issue, is fascinating and is a very progressive way of looking at things and thinking. And another element that we're really excited about adding to the forum is an incubator element. So we're going to start working with various incubator partners in San Diego, so that when people come to this forum and they're inspired by the talks, they're inspired by what they see, they have an opportunity to then pursue their careers in it by talking to incubators or accelerators or people who can help them advance their careers. So we needed a way to structure this forum. And so we thought, well, we're in a park, and so we want to connect to the elements, and we want to connect back to the earth in some ways, and people understand the seasons. So we've come up with a seasonal structure. Now, within this seasonal structure, we've got very broad topics that we're going to examine in each quarter. And I don't want to, these topics are meant to be very broad and more inclusive than exclusive, but we have communication, shelter, movement, and health as 4 areas. And these are 4 areas of human need and activity, but they also happen to be areas where San Diego excels. So we know that we can get the best in communication, or all of the thinking of these areas, movement, health, and shelter, right here in San Diego, and then have those experts invite more international experts. So this becomes a hub of conversation and activity. And just to give you an example of some of what the people we're already working with, we've already started working with the Globe on a presentation related to San Diego as an exceptional theatre town. We're already working with the Museum of Man on a summit related to, with movement, a summit related to immigration, because obviously San Diego needs to take a lead in the area of immigration as a border city. We're very excited to start working with the biotech and other health industries in San Diego on the spring and the health elements. And then we're also looking to work with shelter. You've got people like, obviously the issue of sustainability in Balboa Park becoming one of the most sustainable parks in the world. And also amazing talents like Teddy Cruz, who the mayor's already working with, architects who are really changing the way we envision cities and in particular the border. So that is the 2 programming zones, but there's also going to be a lot more entertainment happening here in the park beyond them.
Yeah. So the 2 programming zones are like the core areas, but we looked at the park and we started to feel like the entire park needed to be our stage for 2015. And so there are really 2 elements to this. One was we wanted to convert Spreckles into what we're calling Centennial Stage for 2015. It doesn't mean changing anything related to the architecture, because if you look at it, it's perfect the way it is. But what it means is giving it world-class sound and world-class lighting so that it can host the larger presentations from the forum that gather more than 500 people, that might gather 2,000 people. And it can host the dignitaries from other countries, and it can also host the top musical talent that will be here for the year. So the other areas, so that's one of the fixed areas, and then the other areas are how can we create entertainment throughout the park around every corner. And down in the lower left-hand corner, you have an example of cinema in the park. We already also started a program that is in development with the La Jolla Playhouse to bring their Theater Without Walls program to the park so that people can experience theater in really unexpected places. In terms of having music here, we obviously have strolling mariachis, which lend themselves to this kind of environment. But one of the comments we got early on was that when you come to Balboa Park, it's such an amazing place, but it doesn't have that sense. It feels a little flat in the energy, and we felt that music would really help elevate things. And so music is a big part of the focus for 2015. And then lastly, and this is sort of related to a big opportunity, something that's sort of underutilized in terms of the park, is that when you come to Balboa Park and you're here and you leave at like 5:30, the park is quiet. The park is pretty much empty at that point as the sun starts to set. And so we know that some of the institutions have begun programming events in the evening, and we felt like we needed to do something to harness that energy and have more activity in the park at night. So we'll have a lighting scheme with projections and video mapping throughout the park so that people feel like it's a very warm, vibrant environment. So that's the park-wide entertainment. The other area that we thought about when we did this presentation for somebody very early on in the piece, and she sat down with us and she said, I love the ideas, but what are you doing for kids? What are you doing to really draw the next generation of people to Balboa Park and get them to engage in it? And she started talking to us about some ideas, and she said for her that to come to Balboa Park and really engage her child, her 10-year-old, it would have to be like surfing the web. There would have to be sort of a surprise around every corner. It would always have to be ever-changing. And so we really honed in on this idea of play. And so on the next slide, you'll see a couple of examples. This is an example. It's a concept bridge for the Seine River in France, and it's actually a trampoline. It's like the most ambitious, kind of crazy, extreme example. But here's a very simple example of the idea of play, and it's just a simple piece of street art that costs next to nothing. But what happened there was people always took the escalator in that environment, and then after they painted the staircase, they say that 60% of the people who went down that area actually took the staircase because they found the environment more playful. So those are just 2 examples. Our team has already gone out and scouted the park to look for locations and to think about ideas to put into the park that have that sense of play. So the last area that we mentioned at the very beginning was this idea of citywide programming. And this is the idea that Adam talked about, which was how can we bring the whole city to life throughout the course of the year? And one of the main areas, obviously, is to do the seasonal spectaculars. But the other thing that we have talked to several of the institutions that we met with was bringing the park to the streets, and particularly to communities that may or may not have a relationship with the park yet. We know that the park, a lot of people have very deep ties to it, but there are certain communities that don't really engage in it the way that they should. So on the left-hand side is a mobile museum, a mobile library concept that houses exhibits and can be taken to communities at any time. Up here in the upper right-hand corner, this is an example we used when we met with a lot of the museums here. We talked to them about having a sense of showmanship when they have a new exhibit or a new unveiling. So in Los Angeles, as I'm sure you all know, they had the space shuttle go through the streets, and it stopped everybody in the tracks in a way that I've never seen in the 20 years that I've been there. So we talked to the museums about doing that same sort of thing and parading a new exhibit through the streets as a reminder that we're having this amazing centennial year. And then the last area is just a sort of a simple art installation. It's actually from Japan, and it's a phone booth that was converted into a goldfish tank. And the idea is, how can we take our environment and have fun little reminders of what exists and what's so special about Balboa Park throughout the city, throughout the year. So
if you take a moment to read this quote from the director of the 1915 Expo. And it's pretty lofty words for an expo. It's like something you'd expect in war, talking about trials and tribulations and blazing new trails and whatnot. But when you think about it, it's the reason that 1915 worked, and it's a lot of the reason San Diego is what it is today. And what we've attempted to do in the program that we're presenting is to create a structure and a framework that all of the best of San Diego can plug into. Mm-hmm. And we've already started that process. And we're today standing up and presenting that opportunity to the city, and we're inviting everyone who has something special to put on show to become a part of it. Because it's funny, with human nature, you get these strange opportunities where we like to celebrate. I mean, Phil and I are lucky enough to do it for a living, but we get this opportunity to celebrate. And it's a moment where people bother to get into rooms like this and cameras arrive, because we feel like we have something where we can collectively get together and be happy and proud and put our best on display. And we have that opportunity in 2015. Just being here today confirms that. So we just want to thank you for the opportunity to be working with you guys on this celebration. Thank you for coming out today to hear us, and thank you for the opportunity to celebrate your city. Yep.